John Wick heads to a distribution center claimed by Abram Tarasov to get his vehicle back. Abram needs compensation against John for killing his sibling Vigo and nephew, Lozef. All John is killing Abram's gatekeeper before he at last gets his vehicle. As he drives away, an entire wreck of Abram's hooligans begin going after John. His vehicle gets beaten up, and the cohorts ram into John with their vehicles. In any case, the man is determined and effectively kills every one of the hooligans prior to advancing toward Abram's office. John essentially pours Abram and himself a beverage. He decides to save Abram in an olive branch. Abram questions John regarding whether he can really discover a sense of harmony. John gets back to the still anonymous canine he took toward the finish of the primary film. He calls Aurelio to come get the vehicle, which is an all-out wreck. In any case, Aurelio claims he can fix it. After he leaves, John reburies his weapons underneath concrete as he believes he is finished with a professional killer life. He watches a video on his telephone of himself and his late spouse Helen. Sometime thereafter, John is visited by another professional killer named Santino Cantinello. He gives John a marker that John gave him, which is basically a blood vow used to escape the professional killer life when he chose to accompany Helen. Santino wants John to kill his sister, Keanu, who is set to ascend to the high table. A group of powerful assassins. John refuses, despite knowing full well what will happen if he does so. Santino leaves John's house, and then grabs an RPG launcher to destroy John's house. Thankfully, the dog survives this time. John goes to the Continental Hotel to meet with Winston to discuss the marker and what Santino has requested of him. Winston cannot do anything about it since John took the oath, and if he continues to refuse it, his life will be up for grabs. John then heads off and leaves the dog in the care of the hotel's concierge, Sharon. John heads off to Rome to complete the task. He stays at the Continental there, owned by Julius. John then meets with several people to get the weapons he needs to kill Jana. John attends a party that is basically Jana's coronation. She is accompanied by her loyal bodyguard Cassian. John confronts Jana alone. He tells her that Santino sent him. She chooses to die on her own terms and slits her wrist. Gianna lays in the pool as she dies. John holds her hand and puts a bullet in her head to make it look like he killed her. Cassian spots John as he is leaving. Knowing John is working again, Cassian tries drawing his gun on John, but John is faster. He gets away and starts killing the other hitmen that go after him when they find out Jana is dead. John shoots them all dead as he gets away. Cassian catches up to him and fights him up until they crash through a window of the Continental. Since no blood may be spilled on Continental grounds, John and Cassian sit at the bar to calm their nerves with drinks. John explains the marker and that Santino sent him to kill his sister. Cassian understands, but also cannot allow his ward's killer to go unpunished. He pays for John's drink and leaves. John then spots Ayers, Santino's mute bodyguard. She lets him know through sign language that she'll be seeing him. As John is heading back to New York City, Santino puts out a $7 million contract to kill John. The contract goes out to all the hidden assassins in the area. A violinist in the subway pulls out a gun from the violin and tries to kill John, but he subdues her and breaks her neck. A heavy-set Asian man goes after John and gets his brains blown out. Two men in the subway try to get in on it, and John brutally kills them with a pencil. Cassian finds John as he gets on the subway and fights him in the train. John stabs Cassian and pushes the knife into his aorta. He tells Cassian that if he pulls the knife out, he'll bleed to death. John leaves Cassian on the subway. John runs into an assassin posing as a homeless man and asks for help as two assassin janitors go after John. The homeless assassin kills the janitors. John goes to seek sanctuary from the Bowery King, an assassin that once had a run-in with John and was left with a scar on his neck. John spared him, and so now the BK sees himself as unbreakable. He also knows of the bounty on John's head. With BK's help, John is able to locate Santino's whereabouts. John heads to a museum where Santino is said to take his place at the high table. John crashes the shindig and starts going after all of Santino's men. John chases Santino through a hall of mirrors before having to fight Ayers. John manages to stab Ayers and leave her to die. Santino rushes to the Continental to seek refuge, knowing that he can't be touched there. John finds him in the lounge. Winston knows what John is about to do and tries to calm him down. Still, John blows Santino's brains out. The next day, John goes with his dog to meet with Winston at the park. Winston informs John that because he killed on Continental grounds, the high table has doubled the contract and sent it to every assassin across the globe. Winston must mark John as excommunicado, but he gives him 1 hour before the contract takes effect. It then becomes evident that every single person in the park is an assassin, and they have their eyes on John. John tells Winston to let everyone know that if they go after him, he will kill them all. Winston agrees. John leaves as Winston puts the word out. Every passing person looks at John, knowing who he is and what they want from him. John is forced to take the dog and keep on running.